I became a victim of assault and was never going to talk about it again. I don't know what they were thinking, but it's all about what's gonna sell. And that's what they were focusing on. Child of an alcoholic learns at a very, very early age how to navigate a situation, how to read a room, and how to keep the person they love alive. My mama. I was protecting my mama.
Brooke Shields has lived through hell in Hollywood. From disturbing photo shoots with Playboy at the age of 10 to intimate scenes with grown men in her early teens, her mother forced her into work that left Brooke traumatized. So let's get into it. We need to talk about some of the traumatic moments that Brooke Shields survived in Hollywood. You guys may remember that she was just 10 years old when she posed nude for Playboy, which is just disgusting. I've made an entire video breaking that down and who allowed that to happen, and her mother is one of those people, even though Brooke still feels protective over her mother who put her in compromising situations.
Is it appropriate to portray that on screen using an 11-year-old actor?
It wouldn't be now. You couldn't get away with it now. We were in the 70s, like, everything was being turned upside down.
Brooke Shields says that she still feels protective over her mother despite having been made to post nude for Playboy at 10 years old. According to Brooke, her mother's choices about her career exposed her to explicit roles and situations, one of which was the photo shoot for Playboy. The reason why we're learning so much about Brooke Shields is because she's coming out with a documentary series where she's exposing all of these dark moments in her life.
In her People cover story out Friday, Brooke reveals why she waited this long to share her heartbreaking story.
It's taken me this long to process it, so I was never ready prior.
The shocking ordeal is part of her upcoming documentary, Brooke Shields' Pretty Baby. Pretty Baby is the title of her controversial 1978 film in which she played a child prostitute at age 11.
I can feel the steam inside me right through my dress.
Let's talk a little bit about Brooke's mother, because Terry has been criticized for allowing her young daughter to play a child prostitute in that movie Pretty Baby, which the documentary is named after. A lot of the times when we look at these child stars nowadays, their parents were absent, and that's how they were taken advantage of. But Brooke's mother, Terry, was right there and watched it all happen and just signed off to it.
I think Brooke's sort of like a work of art, and like any beautiful painting. I think the world should enjoy Brooke and view her.
And the world did. It was the 1970s and Brooke was fast becoming one of the most recognised children on the planet. But it was also obvious that the line between art and exploitation was uncomfortably fuzzy.
And you yourself have said, and I quote, ever since Brooke was a baby, she's been encouraged to be sensual. So can't someone say to you that you are exploiting the sensuality of a child?
Well, if that's all I was doing, probably yes.
So her mother knows that she exploited her child, which is kind of sick because it sounds like she's accepted it. But what's even sadder is that Brooke accepted it as well. She's been quoted saying, "Everyone always wanted me to be angry with her, but anger was just too sad for me to take when I looked at how insecure she was." And what Brooke is talking about is her mother's alcohol addiction, because her mother was constantly drunk. So it seems like Brooke was kind of taking care of her. Brooke described her Hollywood career as an escape as her mom, Terry's behavior became increasingly erratic and emotionally abusive. She said making movies was always her safety net. She wrote a book back in 2014 and revealed that her mother had struggled with her drinking all her life but refused to give up alcohol. Brooke included a letter written by herself at the age of 10 where she wrote, "Mommy, I beg of you, please stay without drinking," which is so heartbreaking that she's 10 years old writing her mother, asking her to stop drinking, but her mother wouldn't stop. She continues, "I had to contend with so much at such an early age, and there was resilience, but I also put on blinders as a defense mechanism." And there are a lot of horrific moments she's gone through, some publicly by the media. I mean, in one interview, Barbara Walters was questioning her and comparing herself to her. And at this point, Brooke is a child, so it's just so weird to watch.
She asked me what my measurements were and asked me to stand up. And she was like comparing herself to this little girl. And I thought, this isn't right.
I guess I'd compartmentalized a lot, but then when you see it all at once, I think, how did that little girl survive that?
So maybe Brooke's mother, Terry, is a terrible mother, but when it comes to her father, it seems like he was a decent guy, even though he was pretty much absent from her life. I mean, the father was in absolute denial about what the mother was making Brooke do. In interviews, Brooke has been asked about her feelings back then, because like, why didn't people step in? I mean, her father didn't agree with these choices, but he was kind of turning a blind eye, and her mother was, I guess, just too drunk to care and wanted to cash in on those checks. And that's really what it comes down to. It's all about the money, and the production companies knew how to take this 10, 11-year-old girl and put her on screen and I guess exploit her in a way to make all of that. So she was just kind of a victim of the process.
I don't know what they were thinking. It was rather inane. But it's all about what's gonna sell. And that's what they were focusing on. They wanted controversy, and they got it.
Brooke does speak highly of her father. Frank actually divorced her mother, Terry, when Brooke was an infant, and even though she was raised by her mother, she always wanted her father to be proud of her. And I'm sure her father was a motivating factor for her, because she just wanted to be a good person, especially seeing her mother drunk all the time and being a successful drunk, because it's not like Terry was clearly falling over. She knew how to operate as an alcoholic and how to get Brooke into work while staying drunk.
An alcoholic. A good one. And child of an alcoholic learns at a very, very early age how to navigate a situation, how to read a room, and how to keep the person they love alive. And from the time I could remember, my mama, I was protecting my mama. She was my life force, she was my food source, she was my go-to, she was everything. And that I needed that. And it was us against the world.
I think one of the reasons why Brooke doesn't have resentment against her mother is because when she was young, their roles switched. Like, Brooke started to, make the money and to feed the family, and she had to take care of everyone. So she didn't have time to be a kid or to be angry at her mother, because she needed to make sure everyone was okay, which is a lot of pressure. Brooke's mother, Terry, was her manager since Brooke was 11 years old. Unfortunately, Terry passed away in 2012. When talking about her documentary, she told New York Times that it's going to discuss explicit roles and situations she was in as a child. And when it comes to these situations, she's got plenty. It's actually really horrific doing research on her story, because she's been through so many experiences that a lot of people would just crumble at the first one, and then the second one, the third one, the fifth one. She's gone through way too much.
The documentary captures the sheer magnitude of how she was sexualized at such a young age.
They say that on the set you felt very uncomfortable during all this. Is that true?
It might be a little uncomfortable, but I knew that it was going to be in good taste and it wasn't any porno movie, and feel so bad about it.
Then didn't end at Pretty Baby. Brooke was also sexually objectified at age 14 in Blue Lagoon. She filmed Endless Love when she was 15.
If you look at Brooke's career in the grand scheme of things, you would see that she wasn't only exploited throughout her roles, but also behind the scenes, because now she's opening up about a traumatic experience she went through. She shares a story about a time she was assaulted and she blamed herself, which this occurred back when she was in her 20s.
Brooke shares terrifying details of when she was sexually assaulted by a Hollywood executive 30 years ago. At the time, she had just graduated from Princeton University, but she was at the lowest point in her career.
When is it going to end? There are so many victims in Hollywood of these executives, and it's just way too much. It's like every single star has a story. So this was around college time, and she just graduated from Princeton. Her career kind of flatlined, so she went to dinner with a Hollywood executive who she thought was going to give her a gig.
Very hard for me to get work at that point. And I still needed to make money.
What happened after the dinner?
It didn't. I became a victim of and was never going to talk about it.
It's clear that it's difficult for Brooke to talk about this, and really heartbreaking that she was going to keep it inside her entire life. Brooke says that he invited her back to his hotel room. Once there, she claims that he essayed her, but doesn't go into much detail. All she says is that she didn't fight back and felt guilty afterwards.
Brooke says the man lured her to his hotel room after they had a dinner meeting. After the assault, Brooke tried to tell herself it didn't happen.
Denial, 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 denial. Nope, 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 nope. You made this up. It's a mistake. I was alone in a different city that I didn't live in. I just wanted it to be away and done and never just burying my head in the sand.
Brooke was quoted saying, "I kept saying I shouldn't have done that. Why did I go up with him? I shouldn't have had that drink at dinner." This sounds really horrific. She said, "It was really easy to dissociate because it was a fight or flight type of choice. Fight was not an option, so you just leave your body. You're not there. It didn't happen." It's really powerful that Brooke is talking about this because it inspires other people who have gone through other situations to feel okay about what they've gone through, because Brooke Shields survived it, so she's kind of like a role model. And it seems like she's a role model for her daughters, who are 16 and 19, and they both probably feel really like icky learning that their mother had gone through all of this. Like, I would be so angry inside, but also, like, you can't help but to be proud of your mom for sharing all of this. And Brooke was quoted saying that it wasn't just a different era, it was a different era. It was completely different back then, and completely okay what Brooke had been exposed to.
They told me, they educated me too on the cast of Euphoria or others. He said that she was like, "Mom, those are older people playing 17-year-olds. You were like 11 playing this," So I'm proud that they took a stand.
I'm glad that Brooke is here to teach her daughters what's right and to teach the world when her documentary comes out. So I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Here's my email, and I'll see you in a new video soon. Bye, guys.